All right, thanking God again. Let's call Jeremiah 28 back soon, as Jeremiah is going to contend with the false prophets who are going to double down on any previous promises that Judah would not be taken off to Babylon. This time they are going to say that the goods that were taken off in the previous deportation are going to be back soon. Something that Jeremiah is going to start to contend with in verses 1 through 7, as it's going to say, in the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, God told him to make straps and yoke bars and address the kings of Edom and Moab, etc., whose envoys actually seem to be in Jerusalem visiting Zedekiah. He's going to say to them, all these lands are now given into the hand of his servant Nebuchadnezzar until he becomes your slave, as kind of a prophecy against the pride that's going to overtake Nebuchadnezzar once he is in control of all these lands, and the way that God is going to humble him and throw him into the servitude of the lands that he once conquered. Verses 8 through 11 going on to say, but resisting is going to equal captivity to Nebuchadnezzar. However, surrender will leave you free at home under his service, but able to function without being taken into captivity. At which point, verses 12 through 15 are going to show Jeremiah directing his words to Zedekiah. And in much the same way, he is going to say, serve Babylon and ignore the false prophets who are telling you that you will not have to serve Babylon, posing the question, why will you bring the desolation on the land? Going on in verses 16 through 22 to say, once again, ignore the prophets who are telling you not to serve Babylon, and the vessels will be back soon. Thus the title. That's my paraphrase of what they actually say. But they're essentially saying it won't be long for the vessels taken off in the previous deportation to be back home. At which point Jeremiah is going to say, not only are those vessels not coming back anytime soon, the vessels that he left are about to go to Babylon as well. And if these prophets are telling the truth, have them intercede with God to stop the next haul of goods going off to Babylon, which made me think, if they got to wait until the goods are hauled off to find out whether or not the prophets are telling the truth, isn't that a little bit late? Until I realized that in the next chapter, he is going to write a letter to those already taken off in the deportation to Babylon to not listen to the false prophets that are still among them. And so it's not clear if God allowed some of the false prophets to survive that deportation, or whether or not they just brought a whole new crop of liars to tell them things they wanted to hear. But the reality is there may be some false prophets that will survive the next deportation. And if they do, God is giving them an objective standard by which they can know whether or not those men need to be trusted. Reminding me of some game, or what's also known as a clever tactic that I've seen become more and more popular even today. And that is giving things time to blow over. See, if God is merciful to some of these prophets and they still haven't repented of their tendency to say whatever is clever or convenient, regardless of whether or not it's true, what they might do is give things time to blow over during the 70 years of captivity and begin to deceive the people all over again. Reminding me of a clip or a video I saw not too long ago of a man who was about to be arrested. And as he was trying to appeal to the officers and try to talk his way out of a situation that was now growing much more serious than he originally thought, he tried to convince the officers that it really wasn't that serious and that things like this, given a little time, just blow over. An excuse that did not keep him from getting arrested. And in much the same way, even though God may not be locking up these prophets separately from the other folks going off into the deportation, he is giving them the ability to arrest any opportunity they have to deceive the people all over again, if they're willing to listen to the sign that God is giving them that the prophets are lying. And likewise, stop giving into the temptation to go back to simply taking them at their word.